Okay, so we are just going to talk about the meeting we are going to have with Jane and Claire, and think about what we want to get out of the meeting, and also to think about how we can help them. So I suppose the first thing is, who's going to chair it?
I'm happy to chair it. I'm happy because I think, you know, obviously we'll check in with them what they want to talk about and what they think the meeting is about. But certainly for me, I feel there's been quite a significant change. I've seen her some of the previous admissions. She's very different. And I want to check, do they see what we see? Because I actually think she's getting quite close to the end of her life. And so I want to check in with them on that.
Yeah.
And I think that's important before we then have the other conversations. Because I think, Emma, am I right? There's worries around rehab.
Yes, so previous to coming in this time, she was actually living at home with the daughter, with Claire, and was transferring from bed to chair with assistance and with the package of care helping. But since she's been in this time, she's been very agitated, and I actually got the daughter in with me, Claire, just to sort of do a joint assessment, see whether that would actually help. She's just so distressed all the time, even just rolling her in bed. And at that point, actually, Claire did express to me that she was concerned about how she would cope with her going home. So yeah, I think that that's something that we need to just pick up with her as well.
So we do need to pick that up then, because I've heard from the juniors that Jane actually keeps saying, why are you not rehabbing, and when are you going to get mum out of bed? So there's obviously a bit of a disconnect with the two sisters, and I wonder if we need to try and get them on the same page.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. Claire's not sure about home. She's worried about home.
Yes, yeah, she was quite distressed about it by saying it, I think, as well. But it's clear that she's concerned about her ongoing home.
And you can understand why, because she had almost pretty much a maximum care package before,
Yeah,
and was struggling.
Yeah.
And now things are different.
They really are, and actually, you know, we are providing a lot of nursing care for her. So, and certainly late afternoon, you know, she is more agitated, and she's not sleeping well during the night. So that is a change. I think before she came in, I think she was actually sleeping during the night. So we've had her now for 3.5 weeks, and it's a pretty consistent pattern since she's been here, and resolving the infection hasn't improved that. So I think it is going to be a lot of work.
Her care needs have definitely increased.
So it feels to me like we need to think about next steps for when she leaves hospital. And it sounds like in reality, home is going to be very hard.
Yeah.
Not impossible, but perhaps we need to introduce the idea of, do we revisit the idea of a nursing home? Because I know Claire before hadn't been keen because mum didn't want that. But I just wondered, does she almost need permission now that perhaps we really need to be encouraging that from a nursing point of view? If we say we're finding it hard, we can't begin to imagine how that's for her. We may not get this all done in one go, actually, because it's a lot. So I wonder if we just need to think, we know where we think we're going with the conversation, but check where they're at, bring them together. It's a lot of information. They might need some time to process some of this.
I think you talked about actually maybe both of them going to the bedside and seeing mum before the meeting, so they both can see what we are seeing and describing, and to see what meaning they are making of it too. So I think that would be a really good idea.
Brilliant.
Okay.
So we've got a plan.
Yeah.
I'll lead, bring you in on therapy, bring you in on difficulty with care, and then we'll see where we get to. Coming in. So I'm Dr. Brady.
I'm Jo Wilson. I'm one of the nurses on the ward.
And I'm Emma Lewis. I'm one of the therapists on the ward.
Yeah, we connect.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming in. I suppose it would help me to know, what is your understanding about why we're meeting, and what are you hoping to get out of us meeting and having this conversation today?
Talking about what to do next with mum.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I only just seen mum today, the first one in a little while. She is doing worse than I thought she'd be doing, but I'm really conscious that obviously she's here and she just so desperately wanted to be at home. So I'm just hoping that the rehab, something can be done with that, really.
Okay. So it sounds like, Claire, you're worried about what next and the future and what that might hold. And Jane, you're thinking about rehab and home. And we're going to talk about all of that today. I feel there's been quite a change in Mum, this admission. I know that she's got the dementia and she's got her frailty. And I know that this is, I think, her 4th admission this year.
Right, yeah.
And my sense is the admissions are happening more frequently. She's spending less and less time at home. And I think each time things are changing. She's not quite getting back to where she was. That worries me, actually. And I worry about the changes that I'm seeing in your mum. And I wanted to check, do you see what I'm seeing?
No, I'm definitely feeling that. I definitely feel that actually she's, before she came into hospital, I've been struggling, and that's moving her is really, it has become difficult, and it seems that it's even more difficult now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think we're going to talk about that, because actually there's been quite a lot of changes in her moving, in her agitation, in her sleep. And these are all signs for me that things are changing. And actually, I think her illness is getting very advanced now. And if I'm completely honest, I actually think time might be quite short for me. I'm sorry to have to say that to you. It's just that I'm worried. And I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that she does better and that she recovers. But if I'm honest, she doesn't seem to be improving despite all the treatment that we've given her, despite all the rehab that we've given her. My sense is she's actually getting worse, not better. And I think it's important for me to say that. I'm sorry. I can see that that's quite a shock.
Yeah, I mean, I was really hoping for the rehab to sort of come through. I know that's something that she really wanted, but obviously, again, having seen her today, and I've not been able to come as much as I would have liked it. Yeah, I see that she is a lot worse than she was a few weeks ago when I came up.
I've been seeing her, and we had a session together. I asked Claire to attend a session because previously she was getting out of bed with you, was she? Although you were struggling a little bit with that,
right.
You've got a package of care at home as well. But she, since she's been in hospital, has been very agitated and quite distressed. We just haven't been able to progress anything further than just moving her in the bed. So we've not been able to get a hoist sling underneath her to even hoist her into a chair. And actually, you know, even if we could get her into a chair, I don't think she would tolerate any length of time sitting out. So she's really, you know, has deteriorated.
I mean, I think that's what I was trying to tell you, that actually I don't know if I can do it anymore. I feel really bad saying that, but I don't know how to move forward.
I had no idea just how much you were doing.
And I think we have to deal with the reality of the situation. I know you would do everything. I see how much you love your mum and how much you care for her. And I know hope is really important. And I don't want to take that all away for you, but I wonder if we need to take a more parallel approach to hoping, but actually perhaps preparing for the what ifs. What if things don't go so well? What if she doesn't improve because we're seeing her get worse, not better? And we're seeing things get more difficult despite so much care and support at home already. And I wonder if we need to be preparing for her at her worst, not at her best.
And how long do you think? You mentioned that there's not long left.
I mean, that's a really brave question, Jane, and I'm glad that you've asked it. Are you okay, Claire, with us talking about this? Do you have any thoughts yourself from seeing mum and what you're seeing with mum? I mean, I'm happy to tell you what I think, but I wonder yourselves, do you?
I really don't know. I don't think you've probably got more of an idea.
I mean, to be honest, this past year, she's been in the hospital 4 times, and each time she's kind of bounced back to some degree, but every time I've been thinking, is this the end? So I don't know. And
I think that's exactly it, actually. I think that she does bounce back, but not quite to where she was. And each time we're losing a little bit more of her, and it's getting harder and harder and harder. And this is what frailty looks like. This is what dementia looks like. any one of those episodes could be the final episode. People often die with an infection as part of that dying process. I wish I could be more sure, because I think it would make this easier. I think if I could give you a time frame, then you'd know what you were dealing with and you'd know how to plan. But the truth is, I just don't know. She could get an infection at any time, it could take her. But equally, we could be having this conversation again in a few months' time. We need to prepare for both of those possibilities. You need to be ready for something happening anytime, but I think we need to plan a little longer term than that. We don't have to decide anything today. Okay, I suppose what I hope now is that we can take a bit of time, perhaps some time together, for you guys to think, what next? I know Jo wanted to talk to you about the care and how hard things are.
Yeah, so I think you'd had a 4 times a day package of care with two carers who were coming in before, and you were helping in between time. And we've noticed on the submission, really, she is awake and agitated much of the night too now, and so her care needs have gone up. So it's definitely to turn her and to try and soothe her. Any feeding is taking much longer, but it's particularly the night times, I suppose, that we would say that we were concerned about, because it gives you no rest if you are to take her home. And I think, part of this is keeping you well enough as well, and sleep is an important part of that. And so I think we're not wedded to an idea of where your mum is cared for, whether it's home with extra help, although that actually is going to become more difficult now in terms of it's more complicated to find the care for overnight, but not impossible, or whether we consider a care home. And in that manner, the care is provided there, and then you can be yourself and be alongside her. Because I think, as Dr. Brady has said, we're looking at a time where she may become more unwell, so her care needs may further increase as well.
I think if you could tell me it was weeks, I could think I can handle that. No, though, when you say care home, I just feel like she just did not want
She
to.
was so adamant, wasn't she, that wasn't what she wanted.
I wish I could be more certain for you. I know that would make it easier, but we have to deal with uncertainty. We have to find a way to plan despite just not knowing. I think in terms of her wishes, I see how much you want to respect her wishes. And I can see how hard both of you have worked and done to support her. But I suppose what we're trying to say to you is it's not that home is impossible, but there is a significant change and it will be incredibly hard. We can try it. If that's what you together decide you want to do, we can give it a go and we can look at everything we can do to support you. But I wonder, if your mum knew it was going to be this hard at this point, would she still have been saying that? I wonder what would have mattered to her at this point. Would it have been at home at all costs? Or actually, would it have known that you two were okay? I think you probably need a little bit of time to think this through. I think it's a lot of information. I wonder if it might be helpful to even go and look at a couple of care homes. That might help you have a better understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've not even considered it, so looking into that is something I've not even done. It's not even crossed my mind.
I know this is hard for both of you. I'm going to suggest, because I am conscious of time, I'm going to suggest, if it feels okay with you, that we leave it there for today, unless if you've got more questions.
And I think, you've got our direct dial, so, do call. It's never easy thinking these things through and throws up lots of feelings. So you call us and we can listen. And we'll set up another meeting.
Yeah.
When you've had a chance to think, and we can take the conversation forward. But yes, definitely, let's go and see your mum.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so let's just check in. How are you after the meeting? Start with you.
Yeah, I'm all right. I felt sad for them, to be
Yeah.
honest, but I'm pleased that they now seem to be a bit more on the same page.
And I think from my perspective now, you know, it's just supporting them in the decision.
And actually, it was Jane who asked about prognosis, wasn't it? So I think the penny really did drop.
I think it did. I wonder if it would be helpful to talk to the junior doctors, because I think that they have had a lot of conversations with her
Yes.
about rehab. It would be a good learning for them for them to understand. Because they've ended up on the same page,
Yeah.
which is really what we want, and they're going to be able to think together. Yes, I think we need a date. I suppose there's some things that we can think about in the meantime. I mean, I don't think they meet the criteria for fast track funding, for example. So I
Yeah.
think we probably should have a look at a CHC
Yeah.
checklist. I don't think they'd score, but so we're prepared to
Yeah.
think about how care might be funded for home, and we can put that work in ahead of the next meeting.
The next meeting, I do want to talk about treatment escalation plans and
Okay.
electronic records,
Okay.
because this is her fourth admission.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we ought to be having those conversations about, does mum keep coming back to hospital?
Yeah, I suppose let's just check whether there's any outstanding issues for you. We're just going to continue now, and I think probably we need to keep a really strict 24-hour record of what the care needs are and what nursing needs we are, so that if actually we have to put in a care application, we know what the care plan is. So I just wonder who's going to write in the notes.
I don't mind doing it because I mean it became quite medical actually.
It did.
So I'm happy to cover that bit. In particular, is there anything you want me to make sure is in there, or?
I think the relationship, that actually to be able to say that, you know, they're more on the same page now, and that they're going away to think about things, and
You know, they realise that actually she's not got rehab potential.
I mean, I know you've already documented in the
Yes.
notes why that is from your
Yeah.
point of view, because I may not word it as well as you, but I will capture that we've discussed that at the meeting,
Yes.
and I can always reference your previous entry, and
That's
so
fine.
that fully explains the rationale.
I think if you let the junior doctors know, so they know to expect that and support that conversation.
Hopefully, no, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Thanks very much.